Widely considered the best pure hitter in his draft class, Vanderbilt star Austin Martin has secured the second largest signing bonus in the 2020 draft, finalizing a deal with the Blue Jays for $7,825. Let's get some instant analysis from MLB insiders Shi Davidi and Arden Zwelling. Shi, the Blue Jays had to do a lot of work to get him to that $7 million mark.
They certainly did. But before we get to that, hat tip to you, Hazel, for breaking the news. Well done on that. But it is the largest bonus in franchise history. But to get there, the Blue Jays had to spend not only the entirety of their bonus pool, they spent all the money that they could, 5% over and above their bonus pool, without forfeiting a future draft pick. So they completely maxed out in terms of every single dollar that they could spend this year without sacrificing a future pick. The overage is going to cost them an extra $370,000 roughly. So the Blue Jays very much wanted to get it done. They not only did they get Austin Martin, they signed everybody else from their draft as well. So a lot of work that went into it, a lot of financial backflips to make it happen, but they do have it done.
And I imagine the next bit of work will be getting him to Toronto to join the Blue Jays players at Rogers Center as they prepare for the season. Now, don't think that means Austin Martin's going to be on the Blue Jays opening day roster. He's not. But I think the Blue Jays think he would benefit from being around a professional environment, from getting used to some of the players that they hope he's going to form the core of future contending Blue Jays teams with. And I would expect after training camp, he goes off to that satellite site in Buffalo, along with guys like Alek Manoah and Simeon Woods-Richardson and Jordan Groshans, and begins getting some reps with those guys. Because remember, the pandemic shortened the NCAA baseball season. So Austin Martin played only 16 games earlier this year. So I think a big benefit will just be getting him into the box against some live pitching and also getting him working on which position he's going to focus on going forward.
And Austin Martin will get to meet skipper Charlie Montoyo, who we heard from for the very first time since spring training shifted to Rogers Center. And I remember, guys, last week, Ross Atkins telling us that this pandemic, this really strange situation, is right up Charlie's wheelhouse.
You know, I think Charlie's pretty uniquely qualified to manage a larger roster, a 30-man roster, and to navigate some of the tricky waters that he's going to have to face this season with injuries and with absences potentially from the coronavirus. Remember, this is a guy who managed the AAA Durham Bulls for more than 1,000 games, won a few championships while he was at it. And at that level, you have players constantly cycling up and down from the major leagues. You have unproven guys on their way up the minors. You have disgruntled veterans who think they shouldn't be in the minors. And, you know, when you go to sleep at night, you really don't know what your roster is going to look like tomorrow. So he's no stranger to this uncertainty, and he knows how to handle a larger group of players with different needs. The hallmark of those minor league teams was that everybody played. No one sat on the bench for long, and I'd expect that to be the case again this season.
You know, Arden, that's a great point. And further to relying on that experience was part of the message that he delivered to the Blue Jays before they got together, in which he said to them, look, there are going to be two kinds of teams this season. There's going to be the teams who are complaining about the difficulties and the challenges of playing baseball amid the pandemic, complaining about being away from their families, being miserable about everything that isn't normal in their existence. And they're going to be the teams that stay positive and stay focused and closely adhere to all the health guidelines and safety protocols that are in place. And those are the teams that are going to have the better seasons. And, you know, talking to Danny Jansen, that was a message that resonated with the club because they understand that this is the opportunity before them. This is their shot. They've got to stay focused. They've got to stay on top of things. And this is a group that's motivated to do so. So the right message at the right time for his group.
And Danny Jansen was such a good sport. He was kind of our guinea pig for our first Blue Jays Zoom interview. Shi, as a catcher, how is he preparing under these conditions?
Well, Hazel, it's a difficult road for everybody, but you have to think about Danny Jansen. He's got 2.5 weeks to be ready to be squatting for 9 innings for 60 games over 66 days or 67 days. It's going to be quite the grind for him. And you know, he like many players just said, look, I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to make the most of the time I have before us. I'm going to just spend a lot of time catching different guys in the bullpen, trying to get to know them, trying to get my legs into shape, trying to focus on my hitting. He's taken live BPs against different pitchers, plenty of at-bats, and the Blue Jays can control that because essentially everything they do over the next 2.5 weeks is within their control because there isn't another team or a proper game to play. And he's got to try and prepare himself as physically as best he can. And then once they get into the season, if they have to start managing his workload because of how he's feeling physically, then they can do that at that point. But he's trying to maximize every day with as much activity as he can to prepare his body for the grind to come.
Yeah, I think it's going to be long days for Dave Jansen over the next little while, and long days for Pete Walker and Charlie Montoyo and everyone in the organization, really, as they race to get ready for this season in such a small time frame. And really the biggest challenge for the Blue Jays right now, so there's a dozen players still in Dunedin, Florida, who aren't preparing with the 46 players who have come north and are on the field at Rogers Center every day. You know, this camp's going to be a little different than traditional spring training in that it's going to be more individualized, and every player is going to have different needs, because the Blue Jays right now have some players who have only maybe thrown an inning in a bullpen, and then they've got some players who have been up to 4 innings in a simulated game. So you can't exactly put everybody on the same schedule, but at a certain point, the Blue Jays are going to need their entire group here in Toronto preparing together for the season. Intra-squad games will start Thursday night. We know Matt Shoemaker is going to be on the hill. At a certain point, the Blue Jays are going to want to have all 60 of the players in their pool here at Rogers Center.
Yeah, Charlie was asked what his biggest challenge is over the next couple of weeks. He said the players are in good physical shape, but we need to get them into baseball playing shape. Arden Zwelling, Shi Davidi, appreciate the instant analysis. Baseball begins via an inter-squad game, as Arden mentioned, Thursday night at Rogers Center, scheduled for 7 p.m.